Hello, my furry friends, it's Foxler again, and I'd like to talk about the Furry Raiders, from the history behind it and what is the group today. I'm one of the founders of Furry Raiders and also the current CEO. And Furry Raiders started back in 2007 on Second Life as a small little group of friends. And we decided to, own some land on Second Life, which is very common for people to do, where you could build a home and have a place where you can hang out with your friends and do things together. And the name Furry Raider was pretty random. There was really no actual point in the name. It was just taking probably Fallout 3, if I remember correctly, and doing something silly and just putting furry in the beginning of it. Over time, the group did grow over 3 years, requiring more space, and we eventually got a full sim, where we allowed our friends to have access to free land so they could build their homes, which I did pay for a lot of that to make that happen. And also a semi-private sandbox where people can start discovering the options you could do in Second Life. We got all types of people that came and joined in, and almost after those 3 years, we had almost 1,000 members, all in total. And my persona on there was the same as you see today. But like with any large group, it becomes more of a burden for the said individual, myself at the time, and the few administration that I did have to run the group on Second Life and pay for the expenses to have that. And in 2010, we decided, mostly myself, decided that it was just too much for me to handle the Furry Raiders on Second Life. And with having some complications about the said armband that I did wear, I didn't feel it was necessary for me to continue forward with it on Second Life. It was just mostly an experimental social group, and I really didn't have any plans for it. And then I took a several year break away from the Furry Raiders and the people in it. It wasn't until 2013 that one of my best friends from high school, and also another co-founder of Furry Raiders, said to me, "Why don't we bring it into the real world?" And I thought, well, that's not a bad idea. We were good friends on Second Life. We knew a lot of people. We had fun. And we would like to do the same thing here. And the first couple of years, we just, did some planning, did some research, looked into what the community may need. And we thought, there were small places and niches that we could fit ourselves in. We didn't take any consideration of my persona and the armband, but my friend thought the armband idea was a great idea. The few administration that was left from Second Life that came back also thought it wasn't a bad idea. There was no Nazi affiliation or even people complaining about it really in Second Life, so we really didn't have any idea what the impact was going to be. And as we decided to do our first meet, which was Zootopia private screening, we decided to purchase out all the seats and bring all the furries locally that wanted to come watch it for free. And we found a venue or a theater that allowed fursuits included, which was it was a great experience to first dip our paws into this experience of the local community that we weren't really involved with in the beginning. Over time, once we figured we started doing that, we also started finding the stigma of the said issues about the armbands that we wore. And that's when Furry Raiders evolved. Changed from just a social group of friends that wanted to do things for the community to actually identifying that something had to change in the fandom. And a change that is about being diverse. A change about being accepting again. and allowing people to be who they are. You know, to have that furry pride. And when we started thinking about those attributes of furry raiders, what is it going to be today? We were dead set on the idea of equality. We wanted the fandom to be accepting to everybody for all their differences, and even some people don't agree with that, which is fine. But as a group, as Furry Raiders itself, we want to be welcoming to everybody. And we try very hard to do that. And sometimes it can be very difficult socially to welcome everybody that you might not always get along with. But striving is the important puzzle. And by doing so, with equality, we realized that personal expression and creativity is something we had to protect. Because every furry, every individual furry, is going to express themselves differently. And that was important for us to maintain that structure. But we did realize immediately, because of the said armband, that there was going to be a lot of social obstacles, because a lot of my friends, a lot of the administration of Furry Raiders, and the newest members also felt that I also should have the same opportunity as they do and their friends. And we realized that this was going to be a challenge across the board. And I ended up being that individual that was put up front stage to deal with said problems, to identify what people didn't like, why they didn't like it, and what. Yeah. And from there, we've been building the group slowly, incorporating new ideas. As you can check out, the red armband is no longer the standard. We are multicolored at this point, rainbow, purple, yellows, greens, and we will continue making different colors for everybody that requests them. And we started realizing that the armband is not the actual said problem, and people were targeting me directly and saying that I was the issue to the group. And the group knew my past. The group knew who I was as an individual. And we encourage everybody that may have different feelings about me to at least contact me and ask the questions that they have. Because you'll find out a lot of stuff has been taken out of context. And we'll try our best, including myself, to try to take those misconceptions and put some of the real truth from us and myself about really what happened. And the group Furry Raiders has always tried really hard to also help me with that as well, and they do help each other because they become attacked for supporting or being with friends with certain individuals, and that's not what we want to see in the fandom. So that is the overview of Furry Raiders, and I hope that gives you a little bit better understanding who we are. We're here to provide solutions for furries when it comes to having a good, happy experience at conventions or local meets, and for charity. We try our best to get the community to interact with the public all the time, and we just want to have fun, just like any other furry would want to have fun. We want to be out there. We want to go out and be ourselves and enjoy being a silly animal. Really, that's really what it is. So I appreciate that everybody takes their time to watch this video about the Furry Raiders, and I'll see you next time.